So, hey y'all. First of all, hello. We're the table sitters. I'm Marvin. And
Matthew.
maybe on your left or right. I don't know. And obviously, this page, if you've been watching it, is about really tough conversations dealing with race, social injustices, all the things that are going on in this country, which are beyond the elephant in the room. That phrase. It's more like a lot of elephants all over the map, or one big elephant over the map from west coast to east coast, north, south, east, and west. And since I guess November 9th, I've been I'm not kind of tracking this. I am tracking this. There are agencies that track hate group crimes, and that has been on the upswing by 46 to 49% since election day, November 9th. And more specifically, what really frightens me is that in the last week and a half, there have been 5 murders, African-American young men, 20 and below. Some stand your ground. Others probably will be charged with hate crimes. And that's been on the upswing. And it's noticeable and it's scary. And because we are table sitters, we don't want to shy away from any conversation that could come up. And it's frightening. It is frightening. And it drives us harder to have these conversations before something happens, or as I like to say, pre something happening anywhere. So our goal always at Table Sitters is to kind of have a satellite of tables that are having these conversations across the United States. And that's why it's so important that we hear your responses from things, and new people come on and you introduce them so we can potentially come there and workshop. We're not experts, but we're facilitators, and we're not scared of any conversation.
Yeah, and Marvin, you're bringing up the violence that is sort of very, very pointed. I am always fighting against the subtle undercurrent of violence. And I was a teacher in New Orleans, predominantly African American community, also Vietnamese. I am still in touch with many of my students who were 6th graders, 15, 20 years ago, and now they are. They're almost 30. Some of them are 30. And when I talk to them about what it feels like to grow up, mostly the African American students I'm talking to about this, what does it feel like to grow up in New Orleans and now be an adult? I mean, all of the men that I used to teach have been pulled over so many times for things that I would never get pulled over for. And those are the sort of the fears and they're not supposed to be driving through a part of New Orleans. All of these coded, hurtful things that lead to stand your ground, that escalate towards there. We got to sit down and talk. We got to get people to understand that Black boys are not monsters just because they're Black boys, right? And that is still a predominant thing that I still hear driving around the suburbs of Detroit from other white folks. And that's really, really hurts.
It's frightening. And
it's frightening because that's that mindset is what drives so much of this violence and so much of this. I'm getting choked up about it because I've lost a few students, not necessarily to stand your ground, but it's dangerous. Yeah. And it's been dangerous. This is not a new danger, but it is high time that we get to your churches, your schools, that we set down these tables and talk about things before more death happens.
Right. Exactly. No. And so tell us your response to this and what's going on in your city. We really want to hear, not to stir up conversation on Facebook, but to actually stir up champions, table sitter champions in your city to say, hey, I'm interested in you guys coming and having this conversation before something happens. We know something's happening every day.
If you click on the call now button, you'll be in touch with our manager who can help set up a visit. We can do what we're doing right now. We can Zoom in, we can Skype in, we can facilitate a conversation. But we are ready, and we are the phones are open.
Absolutely. All right.